Suella Braverman quite rightly said Sir Keir was in bed with Just Stop Oil donors. It was £350,000 that Dale Vince handed over as a wealthy donor. Tory chairman Greg Hands has accused him of legitimising the group by giving in to them and demanding that he give back the cash that he's taken for the Labour Party from members of that group. Let's speak then to Howard Cox, founder of Fair Fuel UK. What on earth is he doing?
Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Mark, before we start, it's a real privilege to be on your show. I mean, you're a true legend in the world of sports broadcasting. I'm a big fan, mate.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Slightly out of my comfort zone here, which is why I've got expertise like yourself on it. I mean, enjoying this and getting to the heart of these matters. But this is something that I for an awful long while have thought I just don't understand why we think, or parts of our country think, that we shouldn't be using our brilliant resources, particularly with the world where it is with Putin and everything else at the moment, and bring on the money that we can make to help all of our lives better by the gas and oil we have within our shores.
Well, when I learned of this overnight, what Keir Starmer has said, it reminded me of the film The Madness of King George. Doesn't Starmer want to win the next election? I mean, it's ludicrous. It's political and economic insanity off the scale. I mean, chucking the most workable solution to lessen the cost of living crisis, i.e. keeping fossil fuels, he's pushing UK PLC and all our lives into terminal decline, all based on an ill-informed, virtual signaling, very possibly green agenda.
Yeah, I mean, all of this for me, I have to say that I didn't learn this that long ago, but I was sitting talking to some guys who were really in the know and telling me about how we've had at least 8 extinctions within this world, and there will be another one. And yes, there is climate change, but this is the natural phenomenon of where we are with the world that we have within the system and the solar system and beyond. And these things happen.
Well, careful, Mark, you're talking common sense. I mean, what the history says it. We've had, in fact, believe it or not, we are 2 degrees cooler than the last global warming period in the medieval era, the Roman period. I could go on. There are scientists who have helped me and advised me on what I'm doing at the moment in time. And they said, this is normal. It's a cyclical process.
Yeah.
And what's madness is what we hear from Keir Starmer and Ed Miliband, his stooge. They're actually going to ship in gas from abroad. How green is that? On a great big tanker, shipping in shale gas when we're sitting on trillions of shale gas ourselves. And you made that point. We should be self-sufficient. And it would smash the cost of living problems we could have for decades to come if they just woke up to this common sense.
And my understanding as well on all of this is that actually, if we get a move on here, we can do such good benefit as well for this country in this situation. We have to have the energy crisis within our own hands, and we've got it there. I just don't get it.
Well, it's total fantasy that we could be without fossil fuels to get to net zero. The irony is we need oil and gas to get to net zero. Relying on solar and a wind power is just, well, I'm sorry, I won't say the swear word I'm thinking of, but simply stupidity beyond any reasonable scale. And I'd like to think that they would actually wake up and smell the proverbial coffee before the next general election and come out with true, sensible, common sense energy supply policies. I'm sorry to say, I don't see the Tories or Labour actually getting on top of this.
Well, this is a real problem, and it is something. I mean, this is again one of these issues that actually matter. They matter outside London.
Yes.
In the rest of the country. I live in the East Midlands at the moment, and they. Well, yesterday I was talking about this. There's been a lot of electricity cuts and other things. There was problems on the trains yesterday again because of electricity cuts and this and that and everything else going on. And when you talk to real people out there about, you know, we have the resources within our boundaries within this world just to harvest what we need so that you've got more money in your pocket to also help and spend on other things that you'd like to, which again helps the whole of what we're trying to do in this country. And yet there are those hoodwinking you into thinking that it's the wrong thing to do.
And those people doing the hoodwinking is the big worry. I mean, policy is being made on, produced on emotion, not fact. And that's the big worry for most people at the moment. As you probably know, I ran a campaign for 13 years trying to keep fuel duty down. And if you actually cut tax, you get more expenditure in the shops, people go out and do more things, and they can, even if you cut tax, etc., they can afford to pay for the energy, the expensive energy, all those sorts of things. But it seems to be just going over the head of these people, and the advisors, the special advisors, to both sides of the two main parties seem to be on another planet. I just don't get it. And people are very worried. I get emails and messages by the hundreds every single week saying, people, what car do I do? Where do I go? I can't afford to get rid of my reliable 10-year-old diesel car that gets me everywhere I want for 70 miles per gallon, but I've got to buy an electric vehicle and I can't do this. I just come off my driveway. I've got to pay £12.50 in a ULEZ charge and all those sorts of things. And that's coming to a city right across the country. So it's not just London-centric. It's hitting everyone. No,
and the other thing with all of that, and we never hear this from Sir Keir Starmer and the like, is, of course, once you've had your first electric car and you've got a battery that's going to be worthless and got to be stacked somewhere else, and nobody is ever going to buy second-hand electric cars, we're in trouble.
You're absolutely right. I should imagine we could speak for hours on this, Mark, because I'm just about to produce a report with the Alliance of British Drivers and the Motorcycle Action Group, the cradle-to-grave comparison of emissions from electric cars versus internal combustion engine. And you're going to be, well, you're probably not going to be surprised,
no, I'm
but
not.
I'm afraid the whole cradle-to-grave lifestyle, there's more emissions come from electric vehicles than that come from petrol and diesel. What we should be doing is investing in clean fuel technology. Everyone wants to breathe clean air.
We all agree that.
Yeah, but we should actually clean petrol and clean diesel. 10 years ago, it was twice as much emissions coming as they are today from HGVs. They've got their act together. They've halved their emissions. Why are we not doing this with technology that's available here today rather than draconian political edicts coming from governments saying we can't do this, we've got to jump on the electric vehicle altar of, well, I don't know how to present it. It's ridiculous.
And do you not think that in the end, this is the likes of Sir Keir Starmer, is that really they don't care where they get their money from, and all they want to do is to spend it anyway. So, you know, when you hear about these things, here is something that they should also take on board, because this is actually nothing but a profit for the UK in business.
You're absolutely right. And the interesting, the money that's coming from Dale Vince is actually, he's made his wealth through exploiting subsidised green technology. I'll say it again, subsidised. Yeah. We didn't ask for that. No one's asked for us. And that's another factor. No one has consulted us the way the biggest, in the case of where I'm working for, the biggest stakeholder are 37 million UK drivers. They've never been asked the direction of travel. Sorry to use the pun, but that's the fact. We need to have some consultation and sensible science fact and get rid of the emotion.
But the thing is, you might as well just get ahead and do all of this as well with the people that really matter. This is half the problem that we've got at the moment. We seem to pander too much to too many people who want to stop things in this country, as opposed to let everything, whether it's oil, traffic or whatever, flow freely.
You're absolutely right. And I repeat, we should be encouraging, incentivising clean fuel technology. We shouldn't have these bans. We shouldn't have these edicts. That's the issue that's hurting people at the moment in time. And I can't see it changing from Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer.
No, well, I know. I know exactly that, and I know that you're very much part of the Reform UK party and everything, and there are now choices out there for everybody in what they deal with and what they do, and I think that everybody has to be able to have their say. But it's too easy for Labour and lazy Sir Keir, isn't it? It's too easy, because once again it's like the ITV problem we've been talking about and everything. Everybody wants the easy way out to make it look as if they are the cuddly people who are going to save the planet, save the people, and in the end we know that all Labour are going to do is to spend whatever money they possibly can and leave nothing left if they were to get back in.
Well, I couldn't have said it any better. For 50 years, I voted Tory. I'm 68 years of age, and 50 years I voted Tory, but I'm never going to vote for them again under the current guise of what they're doing. They're both green parties at the moment, and they think this virtual signalling messaging they're giving everyone is absolutely going to cripple the economy and cripple all our lives. It's ludicrous, especially low-income families and small businesses like plumbers and electricians. Those are the sorts of people going to be hurt hard by this stupid green fantasy.
Well, look, you couldn't have put any of it better, Howard, and it's been a delight to talk to you on this subject, and I'm sure we will talk again. Howard Cox with his thoughts. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. 0344 499 1000. Do you know what I would do? I mean, this is ridiculous, really, but these people that keep jamming up the roads, not just here, and then they're going to ruin people's hard-earned cash to buy tickets to watch great sporting events at the moment. All of these things are going on by Just Stop Oil. The rest of us are at breaking point. We don't want to have to take these things into our own hands, so we don't. But we're playing the game while they're not playing the game. And they don't have any intention on playing the game. And Sir Keir Starmer doesn't have any intention on playing the game. Sir Keir Starmer is trying to look after Sir Keir Starmer. He doesn't really want to commit himself too much to anything that is reality, because he thinks that's the way for him to sneak in through the back door. Mind you, Rishi Sunak's got one or two things to answer. At least he's catching a plane out to see Joe Biden, and that will be full of fuel. But we have the ability in this country to make this problem go away. And it's not by putting solar panel farms up and down the country, where most of the area that they're in isn't going to see any of that electricity anyway, because Amazon are probably going to just use it in one of their defunct factories. That's the way these things are going. They've been buying up the land. And Just Stop Oil protesters, there's one thing I'm going to say. We're going to have to talk about potholes, which we are later on in this programme. I'd sit a few of them in there and cover them up with the tarmac on top.